99 कंट्रीज़ हैं जहाँ पर आपको देखा जाता है, तो थोड़ा सा बताइए कि सफ़र आपके लिए कैसा रहा है?
मैम सफ़र बड़ा ही मज़ेदार रहा है, क्योंकि मैंने थिएटर बैकग्राउंड से हूँ। मैं थिएटर से शुरुआत की, बहुत साल दिल्ली में भी गुजारे और फिर मुंबई पहुँचे। आई थिंक सब मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि ऊपर वाले का बड़ा ख़ास करम रहा है। लोग जाते हैं, स्ट्रगल करते हैं। मैं भी पहले गया था, लेकिन उसके बाद एक रियलिटी शो में जब सिलेक्शन हुआ तो मुझे एयर टिकट भी मिला, तो घर से ही हम फ्लाइट में बैठ के गए पहली बार मुंबई। और सफ़र बड़ा मज़ेदार रहा, उतार चढ़ाव भी रहे काफ़ी, पर आई थिंक शायद यही लाइफ है, हर किसी की लाइफ में ऐसा होता है, और बड़ा मज़ेदार रहा। और अभी तो मुझे लग रहा है मैम अभी तो शुरुआत हुई है। मुझे याद है इसी होटल में आज से 20 साल पहले मैं किसी सिंगर के साथ परफॉर्म करने आया था एज ए कोरस सिंगर, बैकग्राउंड सिंगर। तो आज उसी होटल में आज 20 साल बाद मुझे ये अवार्ड मिल रहा है। सो रियली रियली थैंकफुल टू गॉड, बहुत ग्रेटिट्यूड है उस बात के लिए।
जी, कंग्रेचुलेशंस वंस अगेन ऑन विनिंग दिस अवार्ड। बहुत मुबारक हो आपको। एक सवाल आपसे और, अब NDTV जाना जाता है भरोसे के लिए, और भरोसेमंद न्यूज़ अगर कहीं देखनी हो तो लोग NDTV पे आते हैं, और आप वो वन स्टॉप डेस्टिनेशन है जहाँ पे लोग मुस्कुराहटों के लिए आते हैं। तो ये अवार्ड आज NDTV की तरफ से आपको मिला है, क्या आपके एहसास हैं इस वक्त?
बहुत अच्छा एहसास है मैम। जैसे मैंने पहले कहा कि जब आप लोगों का प्यार तो इतने सालों से मिल ही रहा है, लेकिन जब आप इतने बड़े मंच पे जब आपके काम को सराहा जाता है तो और अच्छा काम करने की प्रेरणा मिलती है। और बस मेरी यही इच्छा है कि ऐसे ही काम करता रहूं, लोगों के चेहरे पे मुस्कुराहट लाता रहूं, क्योंकि बड़ा मुश्किल हो गया आजकल लोगों को हंसाना। आम आदमी की ज़िंदगी में टेंशन बहुत है। अच्छा, आजकल आम आदमी भी नहीं बोल सकते, आम आदमी बोलते भी आप पॉलिटिकल हो जाते हो। सो हाँ, मतलब लोगों के चेहरे पे मुस्कान लाना थोड़ा मुश्किल काम हो गया है। और क्योंकि ये सब सोशल मीडिया आ गया, इतनी टेंशन दे रखी इसने लोगों को। तो जब लोग मुझे मिलते हैं, बहुत से लोग हैं जो नाम कमाते हैं, पैसा कमाते हैं, लेकिन ये जो ब्लेसिंग होती है, लोग जब मिलते हैं मुझे तो बड़ा अपनापन से मिलते हैं। मुझे कभी किसी ने कोई सेलिब्रिटी की तरफ पे कभी ट्रीट नहीं किया, सीधा हाथ पकड़ लेते हैं, उनको लगता है हमारे घर का बच्चा है। सो हाँ, ये जो प्यार है ये शायद ये ब्लेसिंग्स है, और उसके लिए मैं ईश्वर का बहुत धन्यवाद करता हूँ।
और कपिल, द ग्रेट इंडियन कपिल शो का जो अभी का स्टेज है वो एयरपोर्ट है। वो एयरपोर्ट का आइडिया किसका था? क्योंकि वहाँ पे दुकानें भी हैं, रेस्टोरेंट भी है, सब चीज़ है।
जी, एयरपोर्ट मैम ऐसे ही हर सीजन में कोशिश रहती है कि कुछ ना कुछ नया लेके आएँ। तो इस बार हमने लिखा कि एयरपोर्ट का एक सेट बनाते हैं, ताकि बिकॉज उसमें आप किसी को आंसरेबल नहीं हो, कोई भी कैरेक्टर आ जा सकता है। एयरपोर्ट है, दुनिया का कोई भी आदमी आ सकता है, कोई भी जा सकता है। आप देखिए ना, हमारे शो में कभी कभी डोनाल्ड ट्रंप आ जाते हैं, है ना, किम योंग उन आ जाते हैं, तो हम किसी को आंसरेबल नहीं है। तो एक ऐसा कोशिश करी थी और लोगों ने पसंद भी किया। तो बस ऐसे खुराफाती आते रहते हैं दिमाग में आइडियाज में।
आपने बार बार माँ के आशीर्वाद का जिक्र किया है, उसके अलावा योर वाइफ हैज़ बीन अ स्ट्रॉन्ग फोर्स बिहाइंड यू। यू कीप टॉकिंग अबाउट योर चिल्ड्रन ऑल्सो। जब भी एपिसोड्स हम देखते हैं उसमें आप अपने बच्चों की भी बात करते हैं, तो यू कम अक्रॉस एज अ फैमिली मैन। व्हाट इज़ द मैसेज दैट यू वांट टू कन्वे टू योर फैमिली टुडे?
सबसे पहले तो जिन्होंने शादियाँ नहीं की उनसे मेरी एक बड़े भाई होने के, जो मुझसे उम्र में छोटे हैं, कर लेनी चाहिए, ऐसा कुछ बुरा नहीं होता। तो हाँ, मेरी लाइफ में मेरी माँ, जब मुझे कभी लोग कहते हैं कि आपने ये अचीव कर लिया, वो अचीव कर लिया, आपने इतनी स्ट्रगल की, मुझे ये लगता है मैम कि कोई भी आदमी जब अचीव करता है तो वो अचीवमेंट उसकी अकेले की नहीं होती है। मैं जब अमृतसर से जालंधर कॉलेज में थिएटर करने के लिए जाता था, मैं अपनी पॉकेट मनी के लिए काम करता था, तो मुझे अगर 6 बजे की ट्रेन पकड़नी होती थी तो मेरी माँ 4 बजे उठती थी, क्योंकि सर्दियों के दिनों में ही वो फेस्टिवल्स होते हैं। सो मेरी माँ, जिन्होंने मुझे जन्म दिया, इस दुनिया में लेके आई, फिर मेरी बहन, फिर मेरी वाइफ मेरी लाइफ में आई, फिर मेरी बेटी आई। सो ये चारों जो महिलाएं हैं, छोटी बड़ी, तो मुझे लगता है जब तक बच्चे नहीं हुए थे मैं भी बच्चा ही था। तो जब आप बाप बनते हो तो काफ़ी दुनियादारी समझ आती है। सो अब अपने बाप को मैं और ज़्यादा मिस करता हूँ कि हमें जब हम बच्चे होते हैं हमें यही लगता है कि अरे हमारे पापा क्या बोल रहे हैं। सो जब आप खुद बाप के जूतों में पैर डालते हो तब आपको पता चलता है कि उन्होंने किस तरीके से कैसे सैक्रिफाइसेस किए होंगे हमारे लिए। सो उम्मीद है जहाँ कहीं भी होंगे वो खुश हो रहे होंगे इस समय।
जी जी, तो एक आखिरी सवाल आपसे।
नहीं, आखिरी क्यों, भगवान आपको लंबी उम्र दे।
कि आगे मैं सवाल पूछती रहूंगी इस मंच से। आज
इतना सीरियस कभी होता नहीं, सॉरी मैम, मेरे ना तो मैं बड़ा कंट्रोल होता है ना कभी-कभी कि यार चलो हाँ जी आप प्लीज।
Before we let you go,
जी मैम।
but thank you so much लंबी उम्र
Thank
की
you,
दुआ
ma'am.
देने के लिए। मैं आपसे बस एक सवाल भी पूछना चाहती हूँ पहले ऑडियंस के पास जाने से पहले कि अगला जो आपका एपिसोड आने वाला है नेटफ्लिक्स पे वो द लेजेंडरी एनिग्मेटिक रेखा जी के साथ है। विल यू लाइक टू गिव अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ टीजर, क्या है उस शो में या कुछ खास?
मैम रेखा जी के साथ पहले भी हम लोग एक एपिसोड शूट कर चुके हैं 10 साल पहले, और 10 साल बाद वापस वो मेरे शो पे आई और 10 साल छोटी होके आई वो उम्र में। मतलब सो मेरे लिए बड़े सम्मान की बात है कि ऐसे लेजेंडरी एक्टर्स जिनको हम लोग टीवी पे बचपन में देखते रहे हैं, फिल्मों में देखते रहे हैं, उनके साथ पास बैठने का मौका मिलता है, बातें करने का मौका मिलता है। और मुझे अभी भी कभी कभी यकीन नहीं होता है कि ये सच में हो रहा है या मैं कोई ड्रीम सीक्वेंस में हूँ। सो बड़ा अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस रहा। आप देखेंगे भी कल ऑन एयर हो जाएगा वो एपिसोड।
उसामा हमारे साथ हैं मौजूद है। बहुत सारे लोग हैं ऑडियंस में जो आपसे सवाल पूछना चाहते हैं।
कपिल, बहुत सारे लोग हैं यहाँ पे जो काफी इंटरेस्टिंग सवाल पूछना चाहते हैं आपसे, और आपके शो पे हमने देखा है कि ऑडियंस जो है वो बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करती है। बहुत ही फनी क्वेश्चंस भी होते हैं। लेट्स ट्राई एंड गेट सम ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम हियर। यस।
हेलो कपिल सर।
हेलो।
मेरा सवाल ये है आपसे कि आपने अब तक बहुत अवार्ड्स जीते हैं, कभी आपने सोचा था कि आपको एनडीटीवी में अवार्ड जीतने का मौका मिलेगा?
ये जो आप मेरा ही सामान मुझे बेच रही हैं बस यही है मैम, ये जो लोगों का प्यार है, जो सबके चेहरे में मुस्कुराहट आती है, आई थिंक यही सबसे बड़ा अवार्ड है। और हाँ, मैंने कभी नहीं सोचा था कि एनडीटीवी के इस मंच पे आऊँगा और मुझे अवार्ड से जो है वो सम्मानित किया जाएगा। उसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, दिल से धन्यवाद।
Hello, Kapil sir. Very good evening.
Hello, very
I
good
am
evening.
Sukham Kanwar, one of the biggest ever fan of yours.
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
really love you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
My question is, आपने बहुत से डाउनफॉल्स देखे, आप भी बहुत अप्स एंड डाउन्स, कभी फ्रेंड्स के साथ, कभी काम को लेकर, लेकिन आप फिर भी उन सब से उठ के एक विनर की तरह इमर्ज आउट हुए। लेकिन जो आज का यूथ है, आज का जो बच्चा है, वो छोटी छोटी चीज़ों से डिप्रेशन में चला जाता है। काउंसलर की ज़रूरत पड़ती है, साइकोलॉजिस्ट की ज़रूरत पड़ती है। सर, आप उनके लिए कुछ ऐसा कहना चाहेंगे, क्योंकि आप खुद इस चीज़ को एक्सपीरियंस कर चुके हैं, कुछ एक ऐसी चीज़ जो उनको मोटिवेट करे?
मैम, मेरा लाइफ में ये मानना है कि आप काम करते जाइए, बाकी सब चीज़ें जो हैं वो बाय प्रोडक्ट्स हैं, वो आ जाती हैं। उतार चढ़ाव जैसे मैंने पहले भी कहा कि आते हैं लाइफ में, बट हाँ, अगर आप काम करते रहेंगे, आप अपने काम से ही जवाब दे सकते हैं सोसाइटी को भी और अपने आप को भी। होता है ज़िंदगी में ये चीज़ें, तो हमने अब सुनी है बड़े होके कि डिप्रेशन क्या होता है, मेंटल हेल्थ क्या होती है। आई एम श्योर बचपन में भी कभी हुआ होगा, उससे पहले भी हुआ होगा। सो बचपन में तो हमें अगर दिल नहीं भी करता था कभी कभी स्कूल जाने को, तो पिताजी रजाई खींच के उठा के फटाफट भेज देते थे 2 थप्पड़ मार के। तो आई थिंक उस समय इतना टाइम ही नहीं होता था हमारे पास। और दूसरा बड़ा कारण जो मुझे लगता है, ये मेरा पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस है, मे बी मैं गलत भी हो सकता हूँ, लेकिन जितना हम दुनिया के बारे में जान रहे हैं, सोशल मीडिया के ऊपर हम लोग इतने व्यस्त हो गए हैं। अमेरिका ने यूक्रेन से क्या कहा ये हमें पता है, हमारा बाप बगल वाले कमरे में फिसल के बाथरूम में गिर गया ये किसी को पता नहीं होता। तो जितना हम लोग सोशल मीडिया पे जाके जितना लोगों की लाइफ में घुस रहे हैं और दूसरों को मौका दे रहे हैं, वो आई थिंक वो जितना हम कम कर सकें। मैंने पिछले कुछ महीनों में ऐसा करना शुरू किया है, तो सोशल मीडिया पे बहुत कम जाता हूँ। सो रीज़न बहुत सारे होते हैं, हर एक की लाइफ के अपने सर्कमस्टांसेस होते हैं, बट हाँ, अगर कोई आदमी ऐसा फील करता है, लो फील करता है, तो मेरा जो एक्सपीरियंस है, मैं तो यही कहूँगा कि उठिए रोज़ सुबह, हर दिन एक नया दिन है, और ऊपर वाले का शुक्रगुजार होइए कि आज आप उठ गए हैं वापस से, फिर जिंदा हैं, फिर निकलिए काम पे, आगे कुछ ना कुछ अच्छा ही होगा और बेहतर ही होता है।
Good evening, Kapil sir. I'm here.
वेरी गुड इवनिंग। कहाँ सर? हेलो
Sir, my name is अंतरिक्ष and मैंने सोचा था कि कभी आपके शो पे कभी आने का अवसर मिलेगा तो मैं आपसे पूछूंगा या आपसे बात करूंगा, लेकिन आई एम सो थैंकफुल टू NDTV एंड आपने मुझे अवसर दिया आपसे बात करने का। आई वर्क विद CRPF और हमारे जवान, बहुत सारे जवान, इनफैक्ट BSF के भी, आर्मी के भी, बहुत सारा समय घर से दूर सरहदों पे और अपनी ड्यूटी पे बिताते हैं। एंड आई वुड लाइक टू टेल यू कि वो सारे जवान जो घर से दूर रहते हैं, वो अपने अकेलापन को दूर करने के लिए या अपने आप को एंटरटेन करने के लिए आपका शो देखते हैं. सो आई एम वेरी थैंकफुल टू यू. प्लीज हैव अ बिग राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज फॉर कपिल सर.
थैंक यू सर.
और सर आज वीकेंड भी है एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम बीइंग अ वेरी गुड एंटरटेनर यू आर ऑल्सो गुड सिंगर. तो कुछ छोटा सा हो जाए सर.
मेरी एक प्रॉब्लम है, मैं वहीं पे गाता हूँ जहाँ पे और कोई गाने वाला ना हो, ताकि तो मुझे एकदम से पता नहीं अभी क्या,
यहाँ पर भी नहीं है कोई गाने वाला.
मैं एकदम से मेरे को समझ में नहीं आता फिर क्या गाऊं. पता नहीं. आपकी कोई फरमाइश है? पंजाबी गाना? तो जो इंदौर से आए उनका क्या होगा? कुछ हिंदी में सुना देता हूं जी. सॉरी, लग जा गले. वो अभी कहाँ, अब तो शादी हो गई. मैं आपको कुछ और सुना देता हूँ. किशोर दा का मैं बहुत बड़ा फ़ैन हूँ. आई एम श्योर सभी उनको प्यार करते हैं. तो उनका एक गाना है, रोज रोज आँखों तले. नहीं, एक्चुअली उनके बेटे अमित कुमार जी का गाना है. चलो एक ही फैमिली से है. एक ही सपना चले, रात भर काजल जले, आँख में जिस तरह ख्वाबों का दिया जले, हो रोज रोज आँखों तले. शुक्रिया. थैंक यू. अच्छा,
एक और.
वही है, मेरे को फिर एकदम से कुछ, कौन सा सुनाऊं? मैं अपनी वाइफ को एक गाना सुनाता हूं अक्सर ही, उसको यकीन दिलाने के लिए कि मैं उसको बड़ा प्यार करता हूं. तो वो गाना है, सुनिए जे तेरे नाल, सुनिए जे तेरे नाल दगा मैं कमावा, नी रब करे मैं मर जावा, हो नी अल्लाह करे मैं मर जावा, तेरी जे तारीफ तैनू झूठ मैं सुनावा, नी रब करे मैं मर जावा. शुक्रिया.
क्या
शुक्रिया
बात
आपके प्यार का.
क्या बात है.
Thank you.
बहुत खूब. एक और आखिरी सवाल शायद.
हेलो कपिल सर. हेलो हाय. एक्चुअली आपसे नहीं, शमशेर सिंह से बात करनी थी ज़रा.
शमशेर सिंह से?
जी, एक बार शमशेर सिंह से बात कर. तो आप सारे बॉलीवुड स्टार्स के फ्रेंड्स भी हैं. सबसे ज़्यादा मज़ा किसके साथ आता है जब कैमरा रोल करना बंद कर देता है?
सर एक का नाम लूंगा, आई थिंक वो फेयर नहीं होगा, बिकॉज बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग हैं जिनके साथ मुझे बड़ा मज़ा आता है होस्टिंग करने में. सो फॉर एग्जांपल, मतलब जब ये वो स्टार्स हैं, जब ये लोग आते हैं तो मेरा भार थोड़ा कम हो जाता है. सो अक्षय कुमार साहब हैं, मेरे बड़े भाई जैसे हैं, बड़ा प्यार भी करते हैं. शाहरुख भाई हैं, और मतलब बहुत सारे नाम हैं ऐसे. सो एकदम से आपने पूछा तो अभी तो खैर लिस्ट बहुत लंबी है, पर हाँ, हर एक के साथ मज़ा आता है. हर एक का एक अपना स्वभाव है और हर एक के साथ अलग तरीके की बातें होती हैं. पर हाँ, ये दो लोग तो ऐसे हैं कि जिनके साथ ये जब आते हैं तो मुझे लगता है कि ये शो संभाल लेंगे. शुक्रिया.
Thank you,
शुक्रिया.
Sharma, for all those questions.
Thank you and congratulations once again. Thank you so much.
मेरा अवार्ड ले
Thank
गया
you.
कोई है? अच्छा, थैंक यू मैम. थैंक यू मैम.
Thank you.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
have been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps.
And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7. In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here. NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India, beating all its competition. NDTV.
NDTV इंडियन ऑफ द ईयर एक अपने आप में बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण, बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट इवेंट है, बहुत अच्छा प्रोग्राम है। सबसे जो अच्छी बात लगी, अभी मैं संजय जी से बातचीत कर रहा था, इसमें जो ऐसे लोग हैं जिनका नॉर्मली स्क्रीन पे चेहरा नहीं आता, नॉर्मली सोसाइटी में पिक्चर्स नहीं आते, फोटोग्राफ्स नहीं आते, न्यूज़ नहीं बनती, ऐसे लोगों को भी आप जो सम्मान करते हैं, वो सबसे महत्वपूर्ण, वो सबसे सराहनीय, वो सबसे प्रशंसनीय है। तो दुनिया एक तरीके से उथल पुथल में, दो वॉर हम देख ही रहे हैं, साथ ही साथ चल रहे हैं, सप्लाई चेन डिसरप्शन हमने देखा, कोविड का पैंडमिक के कारण डिसरप्शंस देखे। इन सब चीज़ों के बीच में अगर आज एक कंट्री है जिस पे दुनिया को होप है, वो है भारत, वो है इंडिया। और ये एक कोइंसिडेंस नहीं है कि आज हम एक अच्छी सस्टेन्ड 6 to 8% ग्रोथ रेट पे चल रहे हैं। इसके पीछे प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की एक सोची समझी थॉट प्रोसेस है, एक क्लियरली लेड आउट प्लान है, जिसके कारण आज हम बहुत ही कंसिस्टेंट ग्रोथ, 6 to 8% ग्रोथ और मॉडरेट इन्फ्लेशन के साथ आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। अगर हम इस ग्रोथ को एनालाइज करें तो अगर हम देखेंगे पूरी दुनिया जहाँ पे उथल पुथल में है, कई तरह के टेंशन्स हैं, जियोपॉलिटिकल शिफ्ट्स हैं, ऐसे में भारत के ऊपर होप है। और बहुत लोग, जैसे IMF कहता है इंडिया इज़ द ओनली ब्राइट स्पॉट, इस तरह की जो बातें, इस तरह के जो स्टेटमेंट्स हम देखते हैं, उसके पीछे 4 बड़े फैक्टर्स हैं। मोदी जी की इकोनॉमिक थिंकिंग और सोशल थिंकिंग, पॉलिटिकल स्ट्रैटेजी 4 पिलर्स पे है। फर्स्ट पिलर उन्होंने रखा मैसिव इन्वेस्टमेंट्स, पब्लिक इन्वेस्टमेंट्स इन सोशल, फिजिकल एंड डिजिटल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर। सेकेंड पिलर उन्होंने रखा बिग फोकस ऑन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एंड इनोवेशन। थर्ड पिलर उन्होंने रखा भारत की डाइवर्सिटी और स्पेशली इनकम डाइवर्सिटी को देखते हुए बहुत बड़ा फोकस रखा इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ पे। और फोर्थ पिलर है सिंप्लीफिकेशन का। इन 4 पिलर्स पे ये ग्रोथ की स्टोरी अभी बरकरार है, कायम है और बहुत कंसिस्टेंटली ग्रो करेगा। अगर हम डिजिटल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की बात करें तो कोई सोच भी नहीं सकता था कि एक छोटे से छोटा रेडी पटरी वाला भी अपने मोबाइल फ़ोन से ई पेमेंट करता है। अभी कुछ टाइम पहले एक इंटरनेशनल फोरम में बैठने का बात करने का मौका मिला था, तो एक सज्जन ने पीछे से हाथ उठाया और जब मैं डिजिटल पेमेंट्स की बात कर रहा था तो उन्होंने हाथ उठाया और उन्होंने कहा कि आप लोग तो इतना आगे बढ़ गए हो, लेकिन हमारे जैसे पीछे रहने वाले लोगों का क्या करोगे। तो मैंने उनको पूछा कि आप कौन से देश से हो। मैं नाम नहीं लूँगा, नाम लेने से कंट्रोवर्सी होगी, बट वन ऑफ द रिचेस्ट कंट्रीज़ में से थे वो। ये भावना आ गई है कि हिंदुस्तान आज टेक्नोलॉजी में लीडर है कई एक से एक फील्ड में, अनलाइक द पास्ट वेयर इंडिया यूज्ड टू बी ऑलवेज अ फॉलोअर। ये एक बहुत बड़ा माइंडसेट का चेंज है। ये पॉसिबल हो पाया बिकॉज देयर वाज अ सस्टेन्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट इन डिजिटल, फिजिकल एंड सोशल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर। सेकेंड जो पिलर है, दैट पिलर इज फोकस ऑन इनोवेशन एंड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग। 10 साल पहले अगर बात करते स्टार्टअप्स, 300-400 स्टार्टअप्स, आज 1,20,000 से ज़्यादा स्टार्टअप्स। और पूरे यूरोप में जितने यूनिकॉर्न हैं, बड़े बड़े रिच कंट्रीज़ में जितने यूनिकॉर्न हैं, उनको अगर एक तरफ रखो तो भारत में 100 से ज़्यादा यूनिकॉर्न्स हैं। ये कोई सोच नहीं सकता था 10 साल पहले कि हिंदुस्तान इतना बड़ा स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम बनेगा, वर्ल्ड का टॉप 3 स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम्स में बना।
This is no longer an era where people are satisfied with the basics. This is not their expectation. This is not the limit of their expectation of the government anymore. That what in a way the digital public infrastructure has done, the implications it has had, not just for governance, for our ability to deliver benefits. That what he spoke about, the food and nutrition support, the health facilities we give, the houses we give, and these are the citizens' entitlements, except they were the citizens' dreams at one point of time. Today they are the citizens' demands. In many ways, the citizens' achievements which they have in their hand. So we are living in times where the quality of life is different, quality of jobs are different, quality of expectations are different. And if we look at our own conversations, you look at the national conversation, we are today talking increasingly seriously about Make in India, about being Atmanirbhar Bharat. We are aspiring to a Viksit Bharat. It's not an aspiration we would have had 5-10 years ago. Or, in fact, if one looks even at the achievements which give these aspirations credibility, this is today a kind of a can-do generation, a generation that has done the Chandrayaan, a generation which, was probably the most efficient producer and inventor of vaccines during COVID, which has produced its telecom technology. We talk of an India stack today, we talk of our own 5G technology. Or, as my colleague probably mentioned before I came in, a generation which today produces its own trains, Vande Bharat, of which we can be justifiably proud. I can tell you as a person who travels around the world, probably, I think I can assert more than anybody else in this room, unless there's somebody from an air crew who happens to be here. But, much of the world still has not recovered from the COVID. Not just, it doesn't have to be countries in Africa and Latin America. I can tell you even parts of Europe have not recovered from the COVID. So if you look today at the bounce back, how we handled it, how we have recovered from it, or indeed of challenges like the one we had for 4.5 years, and to some extent we still do on our border with China, that the firmness, the determination, the fortitude with which we face that challenge. Or look at the way we are responding today to terrorism. That a country which let an incident, which let an attack as big as 26/11 actually pass unanswered, is today, sending a very clear message through strikes in Uri and Balakot. We actually took on that responsibility when the world was totally polarized, when people actually, frankly, sympathized with us, saying, I feel sorry for you, you're taking up the G20 at this juncture. Nobody expected us to pull it off. But I do want to share with you today what a privilege it is today to be a face of this country abroad. And I can tell you that the strength of what I articulate abroad, the confidence with which I speak abroad, all of that really emanates from the fact that I am empowered by what I see in this country.
India, the third largest automobile market in the world, is driving into the future of mobility. This December, NDTV Auto's Maiden Conclave brings together the brightest minds and leaders of the auto industry under one roof. From green mobility to AI-driven road safety, discover innovations shaping the future. Join us for an exclusive conversation with Sri Nitin Gadkari as we delve into India's journey to becoming a global manufacturing hub. December 10th, 4 p.m. onwards at the NDTV Auto Conclave.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your lives.
News that informs and keeps you ahead.
Rumbling in the India bloc after Mamata Banerjee offers to lead India Alliance. Samajwadi Party and NCP Sharad Pawar back Mamata, while Congress says that everyone will come together to decide. The big question, is there a change in dynamics after Congress's poor show in Haryana and Maharashtra? Trouble between Samajwadi Party and Shiv Sena with the Balasaheb Thackeray as Samajwadi Party exits Mahavikas Aghadi over Sena UBT post on Babri Masjid. Sena with the Balasaheb Thackeray post praises the demolition of Babri Masjid. Samajwadi Party in fact slammed Sena UBT's extreme stand on this issue. Yet another attack on an ISKCON temple in Bangladesh. Vice President ISKCON Kolkata Radharaman Das, he condemns this attack. India's first reaction to Trump's tariff threat. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar says that there is no proposal for BRICS currency. Remember, Trump had threatened a 100% tariff on BRICS nation. Businessman shot dead in Delhi. Aam Aadmi Party slams the Union Home Minister Amit Shah. Kejriwal says that BJP has turned the national capital into a lawless state. BJP says that Aam Aadmi Party is trying to deflect from the main issue. And Team India is in trouble as Australia demolish India's top order. This after Travis Head takes India head-on, scores a brilliant 140 on day 2. India trail by 29 runs as Rishabh Pant and Nitish Reddy hold the fort for India. Hello and welcome. You're watching the weekend edition of Left, Right and Centre. I'm Osama Shab. Another ISKCON temple in Bangladesh has been vandalized and set on fire, this time in Dhaka. This incident is the latest in a series of attacks on ISKCON temples in Bangladesh, with the community alleging persistent assaults and limited government action. ISKCON Kolkata Vice President Radharaman Das, he in fact reported this incident on his X account, expressing concerns about the safety of Hindus in Bangladesh. The Indian government, it has condemned these ongoing attacks multiple times now, with many calling for justice and strengthened protection for religious minorities in Bangladesh. The matter is not just about the arrest of Chinmay Prabhu Das or the looting of houses and properties of minorities, but the larger conversation is around what the minorities are going through at the moment, among many big questions. is the Bangladesh government, which removed Sheikh Hasina in a military coup, has completely changed the secular democratic character of its country. What impact can it have on the politics of South Asia, and what can India do in this particular situation? We'll try and get the reactions from our guests, but before that, let's listen in to some of the reactions.
তো এটা গত রাতে আপনার রাত 8টার দিকে এখান থেকে কিছু দুর্বৃত্ত পিছন দিয়ে আপনার ওই যে টিনগুলো ওইখান থেকে স্ক্রু খুলে ওই দিক দিয়ে আপনার কি বলে ওই যে পেট্রোল দিয়ে অকটেন দিয়ে আগুন দিয়ে করে যেগুলো পুড়ে ফেলছে। এখানে যে আমাদের বিগ্রহ এটা হলো লক্ষ্মী, আমাদের লক্ষ্মী দেবী, তারপর নারায়ণ, লক্ষ্মী দেবীর শাড়ি পরা ছিল, নারায়ণের ধুতি পরা ছিল, এগুলো সব পুড়ে ফেলছে। আর এই যে এখানে আপনার এই ছিল যে পর্দা ছিল টানানো পুরোটা, এগুলো সব একদম পুরো ছাই করে ফেলছে। তো ওদের আরো বড় কোনো প্ল্যান ছিল। এদের মাঝখানে এসে আবার আমার ভাইসটা একটু বের হয়েছে রাত 8টার সময় ঘর থেকে, ও এসে দুয়ারে দাঁড়াইছে, দেখে যে এখানে আগুন জ্বলতেছে। তো সাথে সাথে এসে এগুলা জল টল দিয়ে আমরা করছি। তারপর আমাদের সবাইকে ডাকছে, ডাকার পরে তারপরে আমরা পিছনে গেলাম। তো যখন আমরা পিছনে গেছি তখন ওই এখানেই ছিল, মানে আমাদের সাউন্ড পাইয়া ওই দিকটা বের হয়ে চলে গেছে দুর্বৃত্তরা, মানে যারা আসছিল এটা বের হয়ে চলে গেছে। তারপরে আমরা আমাদের যে এরিয়ার সেনাবাহিনীর কর্নেল লেফটেন্যান্ট ওনাকে ফোন দিলাম, থানাতে ফোন দিলাম, আমার আইসা বিভিন্নভাবে একটি করে থানার পুলিশ এসবি এনএসআইআর আইসা এগুলো তদন্ত করতেছে। আমরা থানায় অলরেডি একটা মামলা করেছি। তো দেখি আমরা এখন প্রশাসনের কাছে আমাদের দাবি থাকবে যাতে এটা সুষ্ঠু তদন্ত হয়, আমরা সুষ্ঠু বিচার পাই।
Well, you know, Bangladesh has seen a situation where minorities have been targeted for the last few months, and this has been, you know, something that has led to outrage, has led to condemnations from across the world, from the United States, from the United Kingdom, from other places as well. But those condemnations don't seem to have had an effect at all on those who are carrying out these attacks. In fact, even today, as you know, last night, as we know, a temple, an ISKCON Namhat has been, attacked in Dhaka, and the idols have been burnt completely. The idols of Radha Krishna which are there in the temple have been burnt. And this is not the first time that temples are being targeted since, former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina fled the country. This has, of course, become now something that's been happening at regular intervals, even though many of these incidents are being denied. But it is true that they've been happening, and that the Hindu community or the minority community in Bangladesh continues to be targeted by Islamic radicals, and this is something that we are seeing. Now, not only that, what else has taken place in Bangladesh? Not just this attack on this temple in ISKCON, which is of course very, very shocking, but also previously temples have been attacked. But along with that, we also know that the Vice Chancellor of Premier University Chittagong has been forced to resign, Anupam Sen, who's also from the minority community. Even though he's mentioned his reasons for his resignation, and those may be the reasons he's put down, there's no denying the fact that there was pressure on him from certain quarters, and that's something that could have been a factor that led to this decision. So that's another thing. But there have been cases where people have been trying to flee Bangladesh, Hindus have been trying to flee Bangladesh, or cases where their homes have been attacked. Lawyers defending Chinmoy Krishnadas, who has been arrested, the Hindu monk who was organizing and getting people together to protect minorities against these attacks, especially the Hindu community. He remains in jail, and open threats have been issued in court, in Chittagong court. There are videos of lawyers saying, and these are radicals again, that anyone who gathers the courage to defend Chinmoy Krishnadas in court or file a wakalatnama will be beaten up. That's the kind of sense of fear, insecurity, threat that minorities are facing in Bangladesh, and that's perhaps the situation that Bangladesh will have to resolve. There have been commentaries on how Bangladesh has been sinking into an abyss of hate against minorities, and that's something that perhaps the interim government will have to look at very seriously and take note of. And we have commentaries from the Chief Justice also. India has made strong statements. India has also urged Bangladesh. The Prime Minister himself has done it, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to expressed concern over what Hindus are facing. But this is something that obviously is something that perhaps it will be something that obviously the Bangladesh interim government will have to take a more serious note of.
Now, while the anti-Hindu attacks continue in Bangladesh, what are India's options? That is the big question that we are asking. I'm currently joined by Ashok Sajjanhar, former diplomat. I'm also joined by Ayanjeet Sen, expert on Bangladesh affairs. Gentlemen, welcome to NDTV. My first question to you, Mr. Sajjanhar. Don't you think India must get more involved in respect to the conflict and these attacks in Bangladesh? What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, first of all, I think whatever is happening in Bangladesh is very deplorable and needs to be condemned in the strongest terms. I think it has been done by India, but what is particularly disturbing also is that the Bangladesh authorities seem to be in total denial. I think as far as the chief executive, Dr. Muhammad Yunus, is concerned, he seems to be out of control. You know, he doesn't seem to be having control on all these people. You know, these are the student leaders, these are the student protesters and demonstrators who have put him in this position of, you know, the chief advisor, head of the caretaker government. But it doesn't seem to be having, there is, you know, seems to be lack of experience, there seems to be lack of, you know, any previous experience of governance or administration. So, of course, there are many things that are lacking, but also what is particularly shocking is that there is not even an acceptance that these things are happening. What Dr. Muhammad Yunus has said, that this is highly exaggerated, what his information advisor seems to have stated, that, you know, when he using such high-sounding words like industrial type disinformation going on. You know, when this is the standard practice of shooting the messenger, because all this you can see on the TV screens, they are available that these things are happening.
True, absolutely.
But the Bangladesh government seems to be, you know, the interim government seems to be in denial. Now, very quickly, coming to this, you know, we have followed a graded response as we need to do as far as diplomacy is concerned. And we have been raising the ante that it is the responsibility of the caretaker government to look after its own citizens. After all, these people, they might be Hindus or Christians or Buddhists, but they are Bangladesh citizens. And it is the responsibility of the Bangladesh government to provide them security. Now, I see today is the 7th. On the 9th, we have our Foreign Secretary going to Dhaka. He should have a very candid conversation with them. India has lots of levers. I think, you know, two neighbors, they have to have, there is interdependency. And the dependency of Bangladesh on India, I'm sure Bangladesh also realizes, is much greater than the dependency of India on Bangladesh. But of course, we would like all this to stop and Bangladesh to rise up to its own responsibility and maintain peace, security, and stability in the country.
Absolutely, and I'm pretty sure both of you understand the challenges which are there in the country, and especially Mr. Sen. You know, there is this fear of radicalism. We are seeing this right now, and all these attacks on the minorities. Do you have any hope from the interim government in Bangladesh, or Mr. Sen, do you think they will, you know, in a way address this?
Well, I think Yunus is nothing but a puppet now in the hands of the student leaders in Bangladesh. And just to give you an example, tomorrow the youth wing of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party is planning to take a march to the Indian High Commission to protest against what they think is a matter of concern for them. But well, it's a dark chapter that's going on currently in Bangladesh, and it's not just Yunus, but the entire advisory team absolutely has no control over what's going on inside their country, because whatever is happening within, it's not just Dhaka, but it's in all major towns of the country, where it's nothing but it's not just hooliganism at its pitch, but also to say that they are just doing what they want in terms of not just attacks against minorities. That's definitely the prime thing. But apart from that, they have been looting and just doing whatever they can illegal because they know there's no police to catch them. So where is Mr. Yunus there? Where's Dr. Yunus? Just getting a Nobel Prize is not enough. Because at the end of the day, if you can't run the country, then either hold the elections or leave the job. As simple as that.
You know, and another point of contention is Sheikh Hasina being in India and Mr. Sen, with the new government demanding that Sheikh Hasina must return to Bangladesh, do you think this situation will really impact the equation between the two countries?
Well, my sources in Bangladesh have told me very clearly that, if at all, if there is any chance of Sheikh Hasina coming back, well, she has, there are reports coming in saying that she's no longer going to take, even if she comes back, she's no longer going to, hold any public position for that matter. But if she's brought back to Bangladesh, which is not going to happen, of course, but one thing is for certain that Awami League, which has exited now, of course, but there is a certain public sentiment which is growing, but it's not coming out onto the streets yet. But it's a matter of time. Maybe I don't know what amount of time. Maybe a month, 2 months, or 3 months, or maybe a little more. But the prices of essential commodities are growing up, and that's one of the major reasons why common people in Bangladesh are really fed up with the current administration, and they want a change coming in very quickly for them. Because and the most affected people are the people who are living in the villages and in the hill tracts areas of Bangladesh, and that's exactly what's happening currently. And I think Awami League. BNP has already said that Awami League can't contest election, and they're trying to bring about some kind of a change in the constitution to do with that. But at the end of the day, if they're talking about democracy, which Dr. Yunus has been so vocal about, then they better let all parties contest the election, and let's see who wins it.
True.
Because at the end of the day, yeah.
Yes, Mr. Sajjanar, these developments, these attacks on minorities, the regime change in Bangladesh, all of this is being read in multiple ways. Some people say that this is also an opportunity for India to, in fact, recalibrate its equation with Bangladesh. Now, with the interim government and the former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina being here, do you think it is a tricky situation for India at the moment?
No, I don't think it's a tricky situation at all. Meaning she has come to seek refuge in India, and we know that if she were to go back, there would be a danger to her life. So meaning that she asked for refuge, we have given her refuge. We have given refuge to so many people who have come from outside. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he came here in 1958. We have given him refuge. There are so many Tibetans, so many refugees who have come from Afghanistan, so many people who have come. So we have given them refuge, and if Bangladesh wants her back, there is an extradition treaty between the two countries. And there are very set procedures that you apply for extradition. So please apply for extradition. It's already, we say more than 4 months have elapsed since tomorrow is going to be actually 4 months when Mr. Yunus took oath of government. And I think two objectives, what was really expected of him when he took over power was that he'll be able to establish peace and security and stability in the country. Has he been able to do that? That's a big no. There was also, this expectation that he will hold elections in the country. He's not been able to do that, and he seems to have made some statements to the effect that he might be in position for 4 years because he has set up a large number of commissions, Constitutional Reform Commission, Administration, Parliament, Election Commission, etc. So they are expected to give their reports by January or something. After that, they will be examined what needs to be done to them. So, I think he is failing at every step. And the other point I want to make is, this is any change that takes place, there is always a honeymoon period. Mr. Yunus is very quickly running out of his honeymoon period. People are going to, the economy as it is, even in the tenure of Sheikh Hasina, as far as inflation is concerned, foreign exchange reserves are concerned, there were problems on that. And now it is the things are going to get worse, because what you see there is lawlessness on the streets. There, as far as the exports are concerned, garments which provide for 80% of the total exports, which account for about more 15 to 20% of the total GDP, that is in shambles. Although as far as India is concerned, India has not curtailed any of the intermediates and inputs that go for the production of these garments. But if there is total lawlessness, there's going to be no investment, there's going to be no orders that are going to be placed, and this is what we are seeing in the country.
Right. Mr. Sajjanar, having said that, do you think India has to be a little more vehement in raising the concerns of the minorities here? Because these attacks and the violence, it is just continuing at the moment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, and that is exactly what I said. I think this is the first opportunity. You see, on the 8th of August, when Prime Minister Modi, he sent a message of congratulations, and soon after that, both of them spoke. One of the most important elements that Prime Minister Modi raised was the security and safety of the minorities, of the Hindus. When the Prime Minister spoke, even with Joe Biden, at the end of August, he did raise this issue. And I think we have been raising this issue at every possible opportunity. But as I said, the Bangladesh government seems to be in total denial. But the manner in which it has happened, and you see the voices that we are hearing from around the world. Yes, the first opportunity, now it will be day after tomorrow, when our foreign secretary visits Bangladesh.
Yeah.
And I think he will definitely be reading out the Riot Act to his counterpart in Bangladesh, that this has to stop. They might be doing it at the...
Absolutely.
Because we've seen that the Chinese have invited the Jamaat delegations and so on and so forth. So Bangladesh might be doing it at the instance, at the provocation of the Chinese or Pakistanis, but this has definitely to stop.
In fact, Mr. Sen, just quickly want to understand from you, how do you assess the current ties that India and Bangladesh share at the moment? Because we've always had good ties with Bangladesh, but do you feel that these attacks, there will be a change in the kind of relationship, or a relationship of continuity?
Well, I think, things are going to be a little more clearer after our foreign secretary visits Bangladesh. But as of now, going by the current trends, especially the minority issue, which is definitely making the rounds, because at the end of the day, the pulse of the people, as far as India is concerned, is changing. And even, at the end of the day, radicalism is what is going on in Bangladesh currently. They are, it's not democracy in its real perspective, because the political parties themselves are resorting to whatever violence they can against the minorities. And it's pure radicalism that is right now going on in Bangladesh. And Dr. Yunus, whatever he may say in public, whatever he may say to the press, but at the end of the day, it is his utter failure to not just control the situation within his country, but at the same time, damage relation to an extent, at least get some breaks on relationship to an extent with India, because that's something which was not expected, because India has always, it's not about Sheikh Hasina. It's overall, till date, it has been a good relationship all through. But what suddenly happened when Yunus took over? This is what has happened, because he is just a figurehead. That's it. The real people who are ruling the streets of Bangladesh are the hooligans, the radicals. And they are the student community primarily, which are actually doing the rounds over there. And it's their words which are being followed in letter and spirit by the people around, because those people are being forced to say what they are saying. And that's exactly what's happening on the ground in Bangladesh. And as far as India is concerned, we'll have to wait and see how things pan on after the visit of Mr. Mishri, and then let's see how things go ahead. But as of now, I would say keeping our fingers crossed to an extent as to whether, because it will take time to kind of slowly get back into action. But till Yunus doesn't, I think he has long plans though, because some are telling me that he has long plans to stay on, and somehow the other, the political parties are putting some pressure on him to conduct the elections as soon as possible. Now, that's something which is not happening currently because there are still, he showed off a strength saying that all political parties are there with me, which in a way shows that, oh, well, I'm the ruler. And here we are trying to build up so-called a quote-unquote democracy, which I don't think exists in Bangladesh currently as we speak. Otherwise, people who are hiding now and calling up people to say, look, there's somebody who's going after me with a picture of mine saying that, look, I may be killed. If this is how the public feels in Bangladesh, I don't know where democracy is.
Absolutely, and there are a lot of unanswered questions still, and we'll have to wait and watch how things develop in Bangladesh. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being a part of this fascinating discussions. We'll keep a track of how situation develops in Bangladesh and get you the latest. Meanwhile, days after her MP suggested the same, the West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has said that she was ready to take up the leadership of India Bloc. Mamata Banerjee's interview to a news channel has led to fresh talk about her offering leadership of the India Bloc after the Congress's dismal performance in the recently held assembly elections. Samajwadi Party has voiced support for Mamata Banerjee, while India Partners, Congress and the CPIM, they have expressed caution. In fact, India Bloc allies the TMC MP, Mr. Banerjee, Kalyan Banerjee, had recently, in fact, urged the Congress and other India Bloc allies to set aside the egos and recognize Mamata Banerjee as the leader of the alliance.
Mamata Didi is an absolute integral part of the India Alliance. She's one of the tall leaders of India. And in a vibrant democracy, there's a very big role and responsibility for the opposition. So clearly, if she wishes to take more responsibility, we'd be overjoyed.
लंबा अनुभव है, संघर्ष के रास्ते से उन्होंने राजनीति में स्थान बनाया है और सब तरह से राजनीतिक मुकाबला किया है, वो पूरी तरह सक्षम है और हमारे दल की और उनसे व्यक्तिगत सब तरह के रिश्ते अच्छे हैं। हम लोगों का 100% उनके पक्ष में, उनके समर्थन में, उनकी लीडरशिप में हम लोगों का भरोसा है और ये बाकी इंडिया गठबंधन के सारे लोगों को मिलकर तय करना है क्या होना है, लेकिन वो हमारी नेता हमारे साथ आती हैं तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, हमारे साथ तो हैं ही। इंडिया गठबंधन को भी अगर फॉर्मली ज्वाइन करती हैं या लीड करने की कोई फैसला, कोई बातचीत सारे इंडिया गठबंधन के घटक लोगों में होती है तो हमारा तो सहयोग ही रहेगा। हमको ममता जी से क्या समस्या हो सकती है?
उनकी अपनी राय है, उनकी एक मंशा है। इंडिया ब्लॉक के एक सदस्य के रूप में है ममता जी और जो भी बातें होंगी स्वाभाविक है कि सब साथ में बैठ के उस पर फैसला लेंगे।
इंडिया गठबंधन तार हो चुका है। नीतीश कुमार जी और जनता दल को समय रहते इसका एहसास हो गया था, इसलिए हम इंडिया गठबंधन से बाहर आए। अब अगली लड़ाई इंडिया गठबंधन और इंडिया गठबंधन के जो राज्य के नेतृत्व हैं उनके बीच में होगी।
Time now for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland. The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7. In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here. NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India, beating all its competition. NDTV stands for trust.
India, the third largest automobile market in the world, is driving into the future of mobility. This December, NDTV Auto's Maiden Conclave brings together the brightest minds and leaders of the auto industry under one.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again welcome back to NDTV's flagship series, India Through the Eyes of Its Icons. Joining us today is somebody whose journey in Indian cinema is almost parallel to independent India's journey. Almost 7-8 decades that she has acted, directed, censored Indian cinema. She has been a vital part, a vital cog of India's journey through all these 7-8 decades. Asha Parekh, welcome to NDTV.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Asha ji, you were part of the golden era of Indian cinema. Worked with the best filmmakers, iconic actors. How do you look at your own journey?
Well, it's been a very long journey and I enjoyed being where I was, and the adulation of the fans was really very great and I enjoyed it.
And more than the enjoyment, you contributed immensely to the growth of Indian cinema through, the years that it was actually growing up.
Yeah, it was a golden era, I would say, and we had lovely music, we had lovely lyrics, very good directors, very good cameramen. Not that we don't have them now, but at that time it was a different thing altogether.
And 1960s and 1970s, there was a lot of larger than life, depiction in cinema. How did you see the transition? I mean, your own journey and the transition of Indian cinema.
Well, the films which I did were happy-go-lucky cinema.
Like
and
you.
Yes, and the transition which has taken place has been good, I think so. We are coming out with more realistic films, and sometimes the films are not good because they don't have a good story, a good script. That's what I feel. In our times, the dialogues were very beautiful. I remember Main Tulsi Tere Aangan Ki. Dr. Saab had written such fabulous dialogues that I think it was one of the best films of my life.
And Kati Patang?
Yes, Kati Patang also. That was Gulshan Nanda's story. And it was a little bit of a shift from my glamour image into doing some serious roles.
And then breaking of taboos, you know. You were depicting a subject which was very taboo during those days.
Yes.
So, you know, from being this glam queen to those kind of roles, I mean, how did you dabble through all those genres?
Well, it wasn't very difficult, but as such, people thought that I was just a glamour girl and not a good artist. So I had to prove myself that no, I can act. And that started with Do Badan. Not from Kati Patang, but Do Badan.
But tell us, Asha ji, your journey in Indian cinema is almost like, you know, 7 decades plus journey. Seen India also change a lot, Bollywood change a lot.
Yes.
How do you see the transition of Indian cinema, transition of India as a country where we are moving in the direction that we are moving, as both as a iconic participant in that journey and then as an observer who can today have the luxury of watching it from a distance?
Well, as you people have come out with the National of the Year, it's a fabulous idea, and that shows how much India has, I mean, gone ahead. We are doing fabulously. And films, as I said right now, that it has taken a transition. We are having good films coming, good artists coming. You see, what was that, before we used to do 4 films together. These days, the actors do only 1 film at a time. So that is a very good thing because you are just concentrating on 1 film. We were doing 4 films. Sometimes we were doing 2 shifts, 7 to 2 and 2 to 10. So that is the thing which has been very good for the industry. That's what I feel.
So there was no work-life balance for you?
No.
But tell me something, Asha ji. Of course, every industry, every iconic product, every iconic man or a woman goes through this challenge in their life. These are testing times for Bollywood. This is, of course, testing time for mass media. These are testing times for mass media from the journalism point of view. This is testing times for Bollywood in the sense of people are, at least from the Bollywood point of view, people are not going to the theatre. You know, yesterday, Allu Arjun's movie, that is a South Indian movie.
Yes, the Pushpa 2.
Pushpa 2 was making a blockbuster debut in the Hindi heartland. People sitting glued to a Mofussil town, Muzaffarnagar, they were watching Allu Arjun, glued. And newspapers were flashing that image. But somehow, that kind of success, the pan-India success, or the pan-India reach of Bollywood that Bollywood has always enjoyed. One sector, which is always, you know, Bollywood stars were like demigods. That seems to be waning, and that seems to be under a question mark.
Why is it? I mean, the reason being, the South has started having a lot of films which are very, very, what should I say? There's a lot of action, there's a lot of blood, which I'm very happy I'm not on the censor board right now because I wouldn't allow so much of bloodshed and so much of gory scenes, you know, which you see. But people like it, people like these sort of things, which is a sad thing I personally feel. I would like to see a family drama or something of that sort. Yes, you have some of these fight scenes, but not to that extent. Don't you agree with me? The South is, all the films of the South, if you take up, there's a lot of...
or would you say there's technology?
Lot of action, you mean?
Lot of action, lot of fights, lot of bloodshed. Or I'm coming down to bloodshed.
I was speaking to Mr. Shekhar Kapoor, and
Yeah.
Shekhar, you, Salim Javed before you, all icons in their own right. One underlying point each one of you have been stressing, you also said the first thing, that story, a good script. Is it, Mrs. Asha Parekh, that a good script is missing from Bollywood?
Yes, it is. I agree with you, but there are films which do well, like Lapata Ladies. It had a good script. You didn't have any stars. So people should concentrate on the story, the script, what you are making. That makes a lot of difference.
Why do you think there are no good stories?
Let's say innovative stories, ingenuity in the storyline. Shekhar had an answer. Shekhar said that, probably Bollywood is rootless currently, and South films are very rooted in their roots.
Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that. But as I said again, the South films, there are films which the South have made and they have become super hits. Like I recently saw Family. What a beautiful film it was. And it was a very big hit. It was from the South. But it didn't have any action in it. But it was a very beautiful film. So it's not that all South films have that, but they do make films which has some substance, which you can relate with. Like I would relate with the film. So that sort of films are missing in Bollywood. It is rootless because the concentration has gone to the stars and not to the story. That's what I feel. I don't know. I may be wrong in my assumption.
You are a director yourself. I mean, behind the camera these days, for the last few decades. Where do you think the good storytellers are? I mean, why are they not there? That if there can be a Lapata Ladies without any big superstar in it, and still it is such a hit, it got commercial success besides getting awards as well. Where do you think is the slip or a gap?
That's what I'm saying, that people should concentrate more on stories than the stars. Because if there is a story, it's going to be a super hit with a superstar.
Or without a superstar.
Or without a superstar.
Mrs. Asha Parekh, tell me something. This is a question that has bothered me for a long time, From the time I actually stopped watching Bollywood movies, not for any particular reason, one had no time left. That because the stories somehow are not about the common man, not about the people's ordinary lives that like they were earlier in the years preceding, even during Mr. Amitabh Bachchan's raging era, they were about common people and common man. Somehow that common man has got pushed to the margins. Everything is very slick, span, curated, decorated, so to say. Is it one reason that the masses somehow are
disconnected?
Because we are trying to ape the West, trying to show all those beautiful girls looking like foreigners. So naturally, are we dressed up in a sari? We are not dressed up in a sari. Are we dressed up in a salwar kameez? No. We are dressed up in a westernized dress. So how can you, think that it is us being there?
So that is the challenge.
Yes, it is. A common man would not be going in the clothes which the heroes are wearing. So there is a difference.
At a time, Rajesh Khanna was wearing the clothes that common man used to wear.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. That right now, do you think what they are wearing is what the common man is wearing, or the girls what they are wearing? The girls, today's girls try to ape those girls wearing Western dresses.
So when you and your contemporaries like Wahida Rahman, Saira Bano, Sharmila Tagore, all of you, were in cinema at that time, did you prefer to dress up in a particular way? Because as you said, you were being followed by girls outside.
Yes, definitely, because we didn't wear those Western dresses. We did wear. I won't say that we did not. We did wear, but to a certain limit. And we were clothed. Right now, no.
So among your contemporaries, who do you think was best dressed?
Best dressed?
Both men and women.
I think Shami Kapoor was very well dressed. Devanand was very well dressed. Amongst the ladies, I think Vaidaji was very well dressed. Sharmila was very well dressed. All of them. And we had designers who used to make our dresses.
So who do you miss the most, Mrs. Asha Parekh, from your co-stars like Devanand, Rajesh Khanna, Shami Kapoor?
Dharmendra.
Whom do you miss the most?
Shami Kapoor. Because I started my career with him. So I miss him.
So tell us stories about your
Mr.
equation
Shami
with him.
Kapoor and Devanand, you know, I mean,
Stories.
the evergreen hero.
Yes. Mr. Shami Kapoor, just because I started my career with him, and I tried to ape him when the way he used to sing his songs. I used to try to ape him, and in one of the films I totally aped him, and he came back and he said, "This is not good what you did." I said, "Why? I'm trying to do what you did." He said, "But no, you are doing exactly what I did." So there was one song in which I did ape him.
What was the song?
It was Aaye Din Bahar Ke, there was a song in which it totally, I tried to ape him.
But that was a hit. So that aping worked.
No, there was only one song which I did.
Devanand.
Devanand. He was another person who made you feel energetic, because he was so energetic that when he used to come on the set, it was, yes, yes, come along, let's do this, you know, that sort of a thing. So he was one person from whom you learn where you get your energy.
And among the women? Wahida ji?
I was a very great admirer of Vijayanti Mala, because she was a great dancer, and I don't know, I worked with her in a film, a small role I did as a child artist, and I had danced with her. But she had a very royal look about her. When she used to enter the set, the whole set used to be pin drop silence, you know. She really was a very elegant woman. I admired her the most.
And all of you, particularly you, Asha ji, that you all have that persona which lights up a room. I mean, we are honored to be sitting with you. There is something very, very magnetic about you, your energy as well. How do you look at your energy and what you share with masses in terms of your connect with the present generation of actors?
Has that connect dimmed, so to say, or has that connect increased?
I would not be able to say this, because I don't know the younger generation, how they are with the people. Whereas I have always been a very open person. I like to talk to people. I like to know people's problems, try to sort them out if I can. So that's how I am.
Among the films that you have done, so many of them over the last 7 decades, I mean, the films where you acted, which was one character which stayed with you?
All the characters stayed with me till I was working in the film. But after that, no, I was myself. But which character you would say, I used to select my script. So I feel that all the characters I played, I enjoyed working in them. So it's very difficult to pinpoint and say that, well, I like this role, or yes, doing Main Tulsi Tere Aangan Ki, I remember Mr. Raj Khosla had come to me and narrated the subject. I had a very small role. I didn't have a very big role, because after me, Nutan takes over. So the film goes on to Nutan. But that much of that role was very, very important. And I told Rajji, I said, you will not cut anything what you are narrating right now. And he promised me that he would not. And that's why that film gave me a lot of accolades.
And you were a leading lady in cinema at a time which was largely dominated by men. I mean, they were seen as leading players who could get a commercial success. But you managed it with great elan.
I mean, it was the men's industry, I would say. Even now it is so. But well, I got along with everyone. It was not a very tough time for me. And as I said, I selected my scripts. Whatever I did, I knew what I was doing.
And one of the reasons why possibly the industry changed in so many ways in terms of commercials, in terms of, is that leading ladies now, particularly in the generation of Kareena Kapoor and Deepika Padukone and others, have started to certainly get slightly more important.
Yes, they are. That's what I said, that now the girls are getting importance because the roles are such. But at the whole thing, if you go to see, it is again a male-dominated industry, whether we like it or not. Yes, Kareena and Deepika have got the opportunity in some films, I won't say all films, some films where they have been able to do a leading role where it is more concentrated on the heroine. But otherwise, it's a male.
And you would want it to change?
Definitely, definitely. I would be very happy because I think women are doing fabulous in each sphere of the life.
Your autobiography is titled The Hit Girl. I mean, the choice of the title is equally fascinating, and as it's reflective of the commercial success that you brought.
Yes, definitely, because I think I had the maximum hits in my career, and they were not just silver jubilees, they were golden jubilees also. So naturally, people thought me to be a lucky star, and my films were sold with the distributors. I was a distributor too. I have distributed about 24 films.
You are a Kathiawadi woman, business is in your genes.
I don't know.
We are Gujarati.
Yeah, so I am a Gujarati, but
business is in your genes.
It's not that one should have genes. Every Kathiawadi has a genes.
And this entire transition as a producer now, and someone who picks the scripts and gets people to act for you. I mean, and then your role as the first woman heading CBFC.
Yes, censoring films, I mean. You said you won't allow some.
That was a very tough job. And because I was a woman, the backlash was quite a lot from the industry. But I stood my ground. What I felt was not to be shown to the audience, I stood my ground. So I think maybe people may not have liked me as the censor board chief, but I did my job.
Do you think,
and I feel happy about it.
Do you think OTT needs censoring?
Absolutely.
But many would call it regressive, Ashaji. People, why do you want to censor everything that people wish to watch? I mean, the world watches it.
Let me tell you, say when I was on the censor board, it was
you were a tough censor board chief.
Yes. There were a lot of debates going on. What should be seen and what should not be seen. Now, you see a family, a husband and wife, they go out to see a film or they go for a party. The children are at home, okay? And the children are with the servants. The servants are seeing porn on the TV, and the children are also seeing that. Do you think it's good for the children to be seeing porn? Yeah, now you have computers and you have everything open, so the children see everything, okay? But do you think bad words should be there in the films? I mean, our children learn all those dirty words, and I've seen them flinging it on their parents. It was shocking.
Yeah, because in a sense, when you see it on screen, it is glorified. So from that point of view, I understand your point.
Yes,
yeah.
It's
glorified. It's like regularized, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't remain obscene anymore.
The son comes and just uses the 4-letter word to the mother and goes away. I mean, the mother should slap the child. How dare you use this word? But no, it's not. It's a common word. So that's where I feel bad. I may be an old-fashioned person, but I really don't like these dirty words.
No, you are evergreen in your thoughts. I mean, you're evergreen in your thoughts. Tell me something, Mrs. Asha Parekh. You have seen cities like Bombay obviously evolve in front of your own eyes.
Yes.
You've seen massive transformation in our financial capital. I'm quite sure massive transformation across the country. How do you see it, India's journey, its transformation through your eyes? If Asha Parekh has to describe it, how will you describe it?
I miss Bombay, which was there when I was a kid. To a certain extent, now Bombay doesn't look like Bombay, which I have seen, with the little houses, beautiful houses, the trees, the greenery around. I miss that.
And what about the rest of the country? The transformation of the rest of the country? You would have seen that also in 7 decades or so.
Yes, the country is going ahead. The country is doing very well, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud to be an Indian, but I miss my Bombay, which
is now Mumbai.
And you miss the quaintness of the old world. Huh?
Yes, absolutely. The peacefulness, the as I said, the greenery, the old times.
The
quietness.
And what is your best memory of Delhi?
Delhi.
You would have come to receive so many awards here.
Well, Delhi has changed a lot. It's become a very beautiful city now. And I did a lot of shooting here for Fir Wahi Dil Aaya, and I enjoyed shooting in Delhi.
Asha ji, we'll start wrapping it up, and I wish I could say, अच्छा तो हम चलते हैं. तो उसका आप जवाब क्या देंगी?
फिर मिलेंगे.
कब मिलेंगे?
जब आप कहेंगे.
शुक्रिया. Thank you so much, Asha Parekh, for your time.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Asha Parekh, for joining NDTV. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views. We bring you stories that matter and impact your lives. News that informs and keeps you ahead.
From Maximum City, Mumbai,
To the seat of governance, Delhi, NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
the energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital, Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland. The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7. In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, We are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here. NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
India, the third largest automobile market in the world, is driving into the future of mobility. This December, NDTV Auto's Maiden Conclave brings together the brightest minds and leaders of the auto industry under one roof. From green mobility to AI-driven road safety, discover innovations shaping the future. Join us for an exclusive conversation with Sri Nitin Gadkari as we delve into India's journey to becoming a global manufacturing hub. December 10th, 4 p.m. onwards at the NDTV Auto Conclave.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your lives. News that informs and keeps you ahead.
from Maximum City, Mumbai
to the seat of governance, Delhi. NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
Rumbling in the India bloc after Mamata offers to lead in the alliance. Samajwadi Party and NCP Sharad Pawar back Mamata Banerjee, while Congress says that everyone will come together to decide. The big question, is there a change in dynamics after Congress's poor show in Haryana and Maharashtra? Trouble between Samajwadi Party and Shiv Sena Uddhav Bala Sahab Thackeray as Samajwadi Party exits the Maha Vikas Aghadi over Sena UBT post on Babri demolition. Samajwadi Party slams Sena UBT's extreme stand. Yet another attack on an ISKCON temple in Bangladesh. The Vice President ISKCON Kolkata, Radha Raman Das, condemns the attack. India's first reaction to Trump's tariff threat. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says that there is no proposal for a separate currency for the BRICS nation. Trump, remember, had threatened 100% tariff on BRICS nations. Businessman shot dead in Delhi. Aam Aadmi Party slams the Union Home Minister Amit Shah. Kejriwal says that BJP has turned the national capital into a lawless state, while the BJP says that Aam Aadmi Party is trying to deflect from main issues. And in cricket, Team India is in trouble as Australia demolish India's top order. This after Travis Head takes India head-on, scores a brilliant 140 on day 2. India trail by 29 runs as Rishabh Pant and Nitish Reddy hold fort for India. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shah. There is rumbling in the India bloc, and days after her MP suggested the same, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, she has said that she is ready to take up the leadership of the India bloc. Mamata Banerjee's interview to a news channel has led to fresh talk about her offering leadership of the India bloc after the Congress's dismal performance in the recently held assembly elections. Now, Samajwadi Party has voiced support for Mamata Banerjee, while India partners, Congress and the CPIM have expressed caution.
No, Mamata Didi is an absolute integral part of the India alliance. She's one of the tall leaders of India. And in a vibrant democracy, there's a very big role and responsibility for the opposition. So clearly, if she wishes to take more responsibility, we'd be overjoyed.
पुरानी नेता हैं, लंबा अनुभव है, संघर्ष के रास्ते से उन्होंने राजनीति में स्थान बनाया है और सब तरह से राजनीतिक मुकाबला किया है। वो पूरी तरह सक्षम है और हमारे दल की और उनसे व्यक्तिगत सब तरह के रिश्ते अच्छे हैं। हम लोगों का 100% उनके पक्ष में, उनके समर्थन में, उनकी लीडरशिप में हम लोगों का भरोसा है और ये बाकी इंडिया गठबंधन के सारे लोगों को मिलकर तय करना है क्या होना है। लेकिन वो हमारी नेता हमारे साथ आती हैं तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, हमारे साथ तो हैं ही। इंडिया गठबंधन को भी अगर फॉर्मली ज्वाइन करती हैं या लीड करने की कोई फैसला, कोई बातचीत सारे इंडिया गठबंधन के घटक लोगों के में होती है तो हमारा तो सहयोग ही रहेगा। हमको ममता जी से क्या समस्या हो सकती है।
उनकी अपनी राय है, उनकी एक मंशा है। इंडिया ब्लॉक के एक सदस्य के रूप में है ममता जी, और जो भी बातें होंगी स्वाभाविक है कि सब साथ में बैठ के उस पर फैसला लेंगे।
इंडिया गठबंधन तार तार हो चुका है। नीतीश कुमार जी और जनता दल को समय रहते इसका एहसास हो गया था, इसलिए हम इंडिया गठबंधन से बाहर आए। अब अगली लड़ाई इंडिया गठबंधन और इंडिया गठबंधन के जो राज्य के नेतृत्व हैं उनके बीच में होगी।
There's a clear sort of example that many are giving, especially after the assembly elections, for example, in Maharashtra and Jharkhand. For example, say in Maharashtra, where the Congress played, the frontal role or the primary role in taking on the BJP with allies, the results were clear that the BJP clearly won. But in Jharkhand, for example, where a regional force like the JMM took on the BJP, the Congress also was part of the alliance, but the BJP was stopped. And this is where, parties like the Trinamool point out that, look, regional forces and especially parties like the Trinamool have been far more successful in taking on the BJP. And therefore, the Congress, when it comes to providing leadership, has not performed as well. Now, Mamata Banerjee's comments to a leading Bengali news channel has, of course, been something that has also led to reactions, as we heard, from right across the Indian bloc and from those opposing the India bloc as well. And this is very clear because Mamata Banerjee is someone who's seen as a person, a leader with strong political pulse, also someone who's a very grassroots politician, but also someone who, in a way, in a sense, pushed this idea of the India alliance, I beg your pardon, for everyone to come together before the Lok Sabha elections. However, there were complaints about the way the India alliance was managed, especially the leadership, and the Trinamool decided it was going to have nothing to do with the India alliance, fighting the BJP on its own in Bengal during the Lok Sabha elections, and managed to improve its tally and bring down the BJP's tally. Then, of course, we had these assembly elections, and even during these assembly elections, there were by-polls in West Bengal. Again, the Trinamool emerged as number one in all these seats, won all 6 seats. So, there is clearly something that Mamata Banerjee's leadership has, given the India alliance to talk about. And this is something that's being discussed in the wake of her own comments that she says that, she can lead the India alliance even from Bengal. She doesn't need to venture out.
And trouble is brewing between the two Mahavikas Aghadi former partners, Shiv Sena and Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray, and Samajwadi Party. Samajwadi Party has in fact exited Mahavikas Aghadi over Sena UBT post on the Babri Masjid demolition. This after a close aide of Uddhav Thackeray hailed the demolition of the Babri Masjid. Samajwadi Party's Maharashtra chief Abu Azmi, he has said that the Samajwadi Party has exited Mahavikas Aghadi with its two MLAs. Remember, Samajwadi Party was upset over that post on the Babri Masjid demolition, Uddhav Thackeray's aide had hailed the demolition of Babri Masjid. Samajwadi Party, in the meanwhile, had slammed Sena UBT's extreme stand on this entire issue.
कौन से ऐसे मुद्दे हैं जिस पर आप नाराज हो?
देखिए, ऐसा है कि मुद्दे बहुत सारे थे, नाराजगी भी थी, लेकिन उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। उससे हमने कोई अलगाव नहीं किया, इन्होंने कोऑर्डिनेशन नहीं किया, मीटिंग में टिकट डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन मीटिंग में बुलाए नहीं, एक दूसरे के मंच बने गए। चलिए वो सब ठीक है, उसको हमने बर्दाश्त किया, कुछ नहीं, वो हमारी शिकायत नहीं है। हमारी शिकायत ये है कि इस इलेक्शन के बाद से उद्धव ठाकरे जी ने कहा कि मेरा मुद्दा हिंदुत्व का है और हिंदुत्व पे सब वर्कर काम करना शुरू कर दो। तो ये सांप्रदायिक था। इन्होंने पहले माफ़ी मांगा था कि मैं अभी सेकुलर पार्टियों के साथ में हूँ। फिर उन्होंने 6 दिसंबर, जिसे हम ब्लैक डे कहते हैं, बाबरी मस्जिद को डिमोलिश किया गया और कोर्ट ने कहा कि ये क्रिमिनल एक्टिविटी थी, लेकिन किसी पे कोई सज़ा भी नहीं हुई, हमने सब बर्दाश्त किया। अब ये कह रहे हैं कि अब बधाई दे रहे हैं कि भाई जिन्होंने डिमोलिश किया उनको बधाई हो।
यही मुद्दा है। मिलिंद नार्वेकर जो उनके एमएलसी है, उन्होंने सीधा पोस्ट की और उन्होंने ऐसा पोस्ट में लिखा है मराठी में कि अभिमान है उन लोगों का।
हाँ, तो हम ऐसे लोगों के साथ नहीं रह सकते ना। जो लोग क्रिमिनल एक्टिविटी को अभिमान कहेंगे, तो समाजवादी पार्टी ऐसे लोगों के साथ नहीं रह सकती।
तो आपकी भूमिका क्या हो सकती है? आप अकेला चलोगे महाराष्ट्र में?
अकेला रहेंगे हम तो। देखिए, महायुति के साथ तो जाने का सवाल ही पैदा नहीं होता। हम तो उनके साथ जा ही नहीं सकते। हम अकेला अपना काम करेंगे और क्या। दो ही तो हम लोग हैं। हमारे हटने से वहाँ महाविकास आघाड़ी की कोई सरकार गिरती नहीं, बनती नहीं, तो उससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है।
Another shocking case of lawlessness in the national capital has been reported. A 52-year-old man, a businessman, he was shot dead in Delhi's Shahadra area while he was going for a morning walk. This incident, it has now highlighted the worsening law and order situation in the city, with politicians trading blame over the rising crime. Here's a report.
A shocking murder in the capital in broad daylight on the open street. Sunil Jain, a 52-year-old utensils businessman from East Delhi, was shot dead on his way home on a two-wheeler after his morning walk around 7 a.m. Two so far unidentified men on a bike shot him from close range in East Delhi's Vishwas Nagar area in Shahadra. He was taken to hospital, but it was too late.
सुनील जैन नाम का व्यक्ति है, उसके गोली लगी है, 3-4 गोलियां लगी है उसको, और हमें कुछ राउंड्स भी मिले हैं यहाँ पर 5-6 के आसपास। तो अभी इसकी जांच कर रहे हैं। सुनील जैन की मृत्यु हो गई है। बर्तन की दुकान है इनकी और 52 साल इनकी उम्र है। ये सुबह मॉर्निंग वॉक के लिए गए थे यमुना स्पोर्ट्स कॉम्प्लेक्स में, वहाँ से वापस आ रहे थे क्योंकि उस वक्त ये हादसा हुआ।
An incident is quite spine-chilling considering it is happening in a prime location in Shahadra, Vishwas Nagar. 7 to 8 times the two assailants fired openly to unidentified assailants. Although investigation is underway, these two people have not been identified yet. But of course he was literally, the victim was literally on his way back home in Krishna Nagar from the Yamuna Sports Complex, and on his way he was murdered by these two men who were coming on a motorcycle. And remember that this crime spot is literally 900 meters away from a nearby police station. It definitely raises severe questions of law and order situation in Shahadra area.
हम सवेरे यमुना कॉम्प्लेक्स वॉक करने जाते हैं, रोज जाते हैं, हर रोज जैसे जाते हैं निकल के। जैन साहब भी हमारे साथ थे, एक भैया और सुमित भैया, उनकी स्कूटी पर जैन साहब बैठे हुए थे। मेरी स्कूटी थोड़ा सा बगल में ही थी उनके आगे, तो वहाँ पे रेड लाइट हुई है, हमारी स्कूटी रुकी है, पीछे से 2 बाइक पे लोग आए, उन्होंने कहा कि आपका मोबाइल गिरा है। तो जैन साहब ने चेक करा, हमने सबने चेक करा, तो मैंने कहा नहीं। जैन साहब से कुछ पूछा उन्होंने नाम, बस इतनी देर में एक बंदा बाइक से उतरा, सीधे गोली मार दी उनकी।
बता दें कि जैन साहब ने भी बोला था अगर कुछ भी चाहिए मेरे से तो ले लो, मुझे मारो मत, जो सामान चाहिए ले लो, मारो मत। और उन्होंने कोई बात नहीं करी और सीधी गोली मारनी चालू कर दी।
जैसे हम छोटी उम्र है हमारी उनसे, तो हमारे को बेटे की तरह, अरे तू मेरा बेटा है, अरे मेरा भाई है तू, मतलब ऐसा नहीं चलता।
While the police probe if there was any personal or professional enmity behind this murder, the rising crime in the capital ahead of the Delhi polls have led to a political blame game.
गृह मंत्री कौन है? अमित शाह हैं। तो बीजेपी और अमित शाह, अब उनको एक ही जिम्मेदारी लोगों ने दी थी, उसमें भी वो बुरी तरह से फेल हो गए हैं। आज उन्होंने दिल्ली का बुरा हाल कर दिया, केवल और केवल गंदी राजनीति करते हैं। आप जैसे अभी कह रहे हो, गिरिराज जी ने प्रश्न उठाया, तो वो प्रश्न वो भी जानते हैं कि वो गलत बोल रहे हैं, वो भी जानते हैं वो झूठ बोल रहे हैं, जनता को गुमराह कर रहे हैं। वो भी जानते हैं कि बीजेपी की जिम्मेदारी है कानून व्यवस्था को बनाए रखने की, वो नहीं करेंगे। राजनीति करेंगे।
केजरीवाल बोलता है हमें मुख्यमंत्री बनाकर दिखाइए, ऐसा कमजोर मुख्यमंत्री थोड़ी होगा कि लॉ एंड ऑर्डर पुलिस को कंट्रोल ना कर पाए। तो अब केजरीवाल साहब उस टाइम ये बोलते थे, आज कह रहे हैं मेरे पास पुलिस नहीं है, अमित शाह जी लॉ एंड ऑर्डर खराब कर रहे हैं। अमित शाह जी पूरे देश को चला रहे हैं। दिल्ली की जनता ने दिल्ली को मुख्यमंत्री केजरीवाल को बनाया, जिन्होंने अब खड़ाऊ मुख्यमंत्री आतिशी जी को बनाया है। मैं उनसे पूछना चाहता हूँ लॉ एंड ऑर्डर को लेकर उनके मंत्री क्या वो VIP हो गए, बड़े हो गए?
The Shahadra incident is just one of the 3 murders reported in the national capital in 9 hours. In Govindpuri, a man was stabbed during a midnight brawl, while in Khayala, a 22-year-old strangled his mother to death in the morning. These incidents raise questions about public safety in Delhi. With camera person Mithilesh and Shreya Ghosh, Rika Roy for NDTV.
Another ISKCON temple in Bangladesh has been vandalized and set on fire, this time in Dhaka. This incident is the latest in the series of attacks on ISKCON temples in Bangladesh, with the community alleging persistent assaults and limited government action.
তো এটা আজকে গত রাতে আপনার রাত 8টার দিকে এখান থেকে কিছু দুর্বৃত্ত পিছন দিয়ে আপনার ওই যে টিনগুলো ওইখান থেকে স্ক্রু খুলে ওই দিক দিয়ে আপনার কি বলে ওই যে পেট্রোল দিয়ে অকটেন দিয়ে আগুন দিয়ে করে যেগুলো পুড়ে ফেলছে। এখানে যে আমাদের বিগ্রহ, এটা হলো লক্ষ্মী, আমাদের লক্ষ্মী দেবী, তারপর নারায়ণ, লক্ষ্মী দেবীর শাড়ি পরা ছিল, নারায়ণের ধুতি পরা ছিল, এগুলো সব পুড়ে ফেলছে। আর এই যে এখানে আপনার এই ছিল যে পর্দা ছিল টানানো পুরোটা, এগুলো সব একদম পুরো ছাই করে ফেলছে। তো ওদের আরো বড় কোনো প্ল্যান ছিল। এদের মাঝখানে এসে আবার আমার ভাইস্তা একটু বের হয়েছে রাত 8টার সময় ঘর থেকে, ও এসে দুয়ারে দাঁড়াইছে, দেখে যে এখানে আগুন জ্বলতেছে। তো সাথে সাথে এসে এগুলা জল টল দিয়ে আমরা করছি। তারপর আমাদের সবাইকে ডাকছে, ডাকার পরে তারপরে আমরা পিছনে গেলাম। তো আমরা যখন পিছনে গেছি তখন ওই এখানেই ছিল, মানে আমাদের সাউন্ড পাইয়া ওই দিক দিয়ে বের হয়ে চলে গেছে দুর্বৃত্তরা, মানে যারা আসছিল এটা বের হয়ে চলে গেছে। তারপরে আমরা আমাদের যে এরিয়ার সেনাবাহিনীর কর্নেল লেফটেন্যান্ট ওনাকে ফোন দিলাম, থানাতে ফোন দিলাম, এরা আইসা বিভিন্নভাবে একটি করে থানার পুলিশ এসবি NSI এরা আইসা এগুলো তদন্ত করতেছে। আমরা থানায় অলরেডি একটা মামলা করেছি। তো দেখি আমরা এখন প্রশাসনের কাছে আমাদের দাবি থাকবে যাতে এটা সুষ্ঠু তদন্তে আমরা সুষ্ঠু বিচার পাই।
Well, then, this is something that perhaps is, again, a shocking development, because this is once again an attack on an ISKCON establishment. And ISKCON has been the target of the Bangladesh government, with, the government labeling it in court a fundamentalist organization. Largely, ISKCON is, of course, a philanthropic organization. It does a lot of social service. It's the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It also is a religious body, and this is something that, of course, is very, very clear as far as the ISKCON is concerned. However, there are radical elements in Bangladesh that are targeting the minority community and organizations that have sway within the minority community. For example, the ISKCON, which has a sway over the Hindu community. Now, this is something that obviously is playing out. There have been consistent attacks on minorities. Another example of how minorities perhaps are being, handled, or how they are being treated is, one of the professors of the premier university in Chittagong, Anupam Sen, the vice chancellor, had to resign from his post. And this is something, again, that is, he's a well-known educationist. He's, of course, mentioned his own reasons for resignation, but we are given to understand that he was under a lot of pressure. Now, this is the kind of, pattern that is playing out in Bangladesh, and there was, of course, a comment from the Chief Justice also, and this is something that perhaps is a worrying development, given that there's, like, Radharaman Das was saying that there may have been a lull, but the atrocities or the attacks on minorities are picking up in Bangladesh once again.
Time now for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai. India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7. In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here. NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
India, the third largest automobile market in the world, is driving into the future of mobility. This December, NDTV Auto's maiden conclave brings together the brightest minds and leaders of the auto industry under one roof. From green mobility to AI-driven road safety, discover innovations shaping the future. Join us for an exclusive conversation with Sri Nitin Gadkari as we delve into India's journey to becoming a global manufacturing hub. December 10th, 4 p.m. onwards at the NDTV Auto Conclave.
New day, new show, a new experience.
Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your lives.
News that informs and keeps you ahead.
From Maximum City, Mumbai,
To the state of governance, Delhi.
NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
the energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai. India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally
Welcome back. The External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, has responded to claims of BRICS undermining US dollar amid Trump's 100% tariff threat. Jaishankar says that BRICS nations have no plans to weaken the US dollar. Remember, US President-elect Donald Trump had threatened 100% tariffs on countries attempting to challenge the dollar's dominance.
BRICS do discuss financial transactions, but certainly where India, BRICS doesn't, each country doesn't have an identical position on this. But where India is concerned, certainly, look, the United States is our largest trade partner. And we have no interest in weakening the dollar at all.
And Syrian rebels have made significant gains, reaching the suburbs of Damascus, according to opposition activists and a rebel commander. This rapid advancement is part of a larger offensive that has seen insurgents take control of major cities across Syria. This development marks the first time opposition forces have reached the outskirts of the Syrian capital since 2018. The Syrian army has withdrawn from much of southern Syria, leaving areas under opposition control. Reinforcements are being sent to defend the key city of Homs, which could be a crucial battleground in this ongoing conflict. And finally, some cricket news. Travis Head proved to be a thorn in India's flesh once again as he smashed a 141 ball 140 that gave Australia a firm footing in the game on day 2. There was a fascinating contest between him and the Indian bowlers Bumrah and Siraj, both of whom picked 4 wickets each.
India was boosted by the wicket of Nathan McSweeney and Steve Smith early on day 2. At 103 for 3, Australia was at a spot of bother. Travis Head was tested early by both Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj but managed to see it through. Once he saw them through, shots like these emerged. Harshit Rana was hit for 4 fours in an over as Australia cruised ahead after seeing past the initial threat. A 4th wicket 65-run stand between them offset 2 early strikes by Bumrah, Labuschagne scoring 64.
Touch finer this time.
The second session saw Travis Head press the accelerator against a tiring attack with an older ball. He powered Australia's lead with 100 of 111 balls, the quickest ever in a day-night test.
And that love is returned.
Head took advantage of the dropped catches.
Now, this is not easy.
Siraj finally yorked Head and followed it up with an exchange of words with the batter. Australia was bowled out for 337 with a 157-run lead. The Aussie bowlers came out fast and furious. By the 10th over, Cummins and Boland had sent Rahul and Jaiswal back to the hut. Kohli was set up by Boland before making him commit to a defensive shot that took the edge of his bat. An absolute screamer sent Shubman Gill back. But no dearth of drama as Rishabh Pant took to displaying roll-on-the-pitch shots. It was a nightmare for India under the floodlights as Captain Rohit too departed. The visitors ended the day on 128 for 5, trailing Australia by 29 runs.
That's all we have for you. Keep watching NDTV.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7. In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here. NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
India, the third largest automobile market in the world, is driving into the future of mobility. This December, NDTV Auto's Maiden Conclave brings together the brightest minds and leaders of the auto industry under one roof. From green mobility to AI-driven road safety, discover innovations shaping the future. Join us for an exclusive conversation with Sri Nitin Gadkari as we delve into India's journey to becoming a global manufacturing hub. December 10th, 4 p.m. onwards at the NDTV Auto Conclave.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views. We bring you stories that matter and impact your lives. News that informs and keeps you ahead.
From Maximum City, Mumbai,
to the seat of governance, Delhi, NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
the energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital, Mumbai. India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7. In today's interconnected world,
Mr. Secretary, may I extend a very, very warm welcome to you back to India. You are a person who's well recognized, a critical architect of so many different aspects of the India-US relationship. How does it feel to be back?
It's great to be back. In fact, first of all, Ambassador, thank you, and thanks for your distinguished career. And I just say to everybody that I think some of my earliest trips as a young senator, I came here in the 1990s, early 90s, and I brought the first business delegation as then Finance Minister Singh was putting forward all the reforms. And so for a long time, I've been involved in trying to strengthen the relationship and work to help the nuclear agreement and so forth. But let me just say to everybody, 100 years old celebration, and I was sitting there thinking to myself for the first time in my life, I've been around for 80 of those 100 years. and so that scared the hell out of me earlier today. And I'm very busy trying to convince my staff that 80 is the new 60. There we go, 2 octogenarians here. But I want you all to know, I'm also trying to convince them that I can do all the things I used to do when I was 55. I just don't remember what they are. It's a difficult transition, I want you to know. Anyway, glad to be with you.
Well, wonderful. And we're going to take advantage of you being here by going through a set of issues, if you permit. You already saw our foreign minister in the previous interaction here talk a lot about President Trump. And as you can see, there's a huge amount of interest in the US elections, in the suspense that has now resulted in Donald Trump regaining the White House for the second time. Would you like to tell us what you anticipate will be his immediate priorities, perhaps the difference between campaign and actual governance, and what will he give up and what will he push?
Well, first of all, I think everybody in the world has learned that it's very hard to predict anything about President Trump. There's no way to know with certainty exactly what will happen, and that unpredictability is something that he actually cultivates and appreciates in himself. I think it's clear he's going to try to shake some things up. You will see a series of executive orders issued on day one. I hope one of those orders will not include pulling out of the Paris Agreement, but it probably will. And there's really no good reason to be doing that. As the chairman of ExxonMobil said from Baku the other day, he didn't advise it because he thinks it would be counterproductive and against the interests of the United States. But he will do something on day one. He will have other executive orders that probably deal with his deportation promises and that deal with the question of immigration. But he'll take some flagship issues and just try to put them out there right away. You can count on that. The Congress will work carefully on these appointees because there are troubling aspects to a number of them. But I think that, I also think on the positive side, let me say to everybody, I think that President Trump, because of circumstances, you know from diplomacy, diplomacy requires a ripeness to be able to solve a problem. I worked very hard for the 4 years I was Secretary of State to see if we could advance the process in the Middle East. And in the end, the two leaders were both of them, President Abbas, Prime Minister Netanyahu, just not ready to do it. They weren't willing to take the political capital, expend it, do whatever. So it wasn't ripe. And there are plenty of places where things are not ripe. But I think Ukraine is a place where things are ripe. And possibly, depending on the theory of the case, you could have a rapprochement that could take place in the Middle East where you have an agreement with Saudi Arabia and Israel, which is accompanied by some kind of an agreement on ceasefire and you know, how you're going to approach the reconstruction of Gaza, which is very complicated because nobody wants to give money to go do something again. And this is part of the calculation, I think.
Right.
So I think, you know, I think that Ukraine, President Zelensky has made it clear what his vision is, but I think that the pressure is growing among many European countries in the United States and elsewhere to find a way to not have this inflammatory situation just perpetuated. And I can see several different ways where you could have an agreement on land, you could have an agreement on defense, mutual defense that doesn't include joining NATO. You could have an agreement on the economics. You could have agreement on the new border or demilitarized zone or any number of different things you could call it. I think both leaders and both countries are going to look for a way to be able to say they satisfied something of what they needed to do. So Putin can claim a victory and say, look, I got people to recognize that we have a right to some of this land. And on the other hand, I think Zelensky and the people of Ukraine can hold their heads as high as you can hold heads because they've done an absolutely extraordinary job of preventing the takeover of Ukraine and preventing the invasion of Kiev. So you can find something there, hopefully, and hopefully the leaders will leave the political space for that to happen, because if they use the wrong rhetoric or they get involved in the wrong kinds of claims up front, you may make it harder for people to go forward. So it's a good time for some quiet really effective diplomacy.
But that's wonderful to hear you say that, because the broad sense on Ukraine has been that he's going to abandon it. President-elect Trump is going to abandon Ukraine. The Europeans are extremely nervous. But if you say that he could actually, he calls himself the great deal maker, and whether he can actually make this deal and whether this would be acceptable to Europeans, to Zelensky, as well as to Putin, that would be amazing.
Well, let me say ahead of time, I don't believe this is an issue that requires exceptional negotiating skills. This is a pretty straightforward challenge where the parameters are pretty clear to everybody. And the question is more, will people be willing to overcome ambition and revenge and other ingredients of personal human behavior in order to be able to find the practical way forward. If President Trump were just to pull out, I think he'd have some major challenges within his own party. And I think that globally the repercussions of that would be just as damaging as anything you could ever imagine, because for Moldova or for Georgia or for Finland or Lithuania, the Baltics, they live with a very real sense of fear of possible mischief from Russia. And Russia plays that on a daily basis. So I think that wisdom will predicate that they really do try to find a way that does not send a signal that you can win everything you want by invading another country. And that's critical for India, vis-a-vis China or someone else. It's critical for all of us, I think. There must be principles that come out of here hardened in any resolution that takes place. And that'll be the big question mark in any kind of negotiation.
Right. And Mr. Secretary, you referred briefly to the other crisis that's in the Middle East. And things look less possible within the scope of negotiations there at the moment. My guess would be Mr. Trump would want to go back to the Abraham Accords, but the things have changed dramatically. Where do you see the path there?
Will you forgive me if I sort of come back to something you first asked about Trump and the election?
Please.
And I was listening to Foreign Minister Jaishankar, who I have great respect for and who's a very smart man. But I wanted to refine a little bit what happened in this election. President Trump, very cleverly in his campaign, writ broadly, did what challenger to the Biden administration succession always do, which is scare the hell out of people and play to the lowest common denominator of politics, fear. And disinformation defined a lot of what people were perceiving. A lot of disinformation, some of it from other countries, some of it on the internet internally in the United States. In the end, the two biggest driving issues were immigration and inflation. Despite inflation coming down, despite significant, strength in the American economy. I mean, I think we're the strongest economy on the planet today. And despite that, and getting better, people didn't feel it. And I had a professor at university who said to me, all politics is a consequence of felt needs. And the felt needs of people in the United States were, we're not getting our fair share. There's an anger, which is a tide over from earlier years, not just during this administration. Globalization, which the foreign minister mentioned, has had a negative impact in many places, even as it's had a very positive impact. But when you see the wealth disparity in our country, if you have any sense of conscience or rectitude, it's disgusting. It's horrendous. And people have a right to be angry about their inability to share on the upsides of a lot of things that are happening. So in addition to those two things, my party, the Democratic Party, I regret to say, was somewhat tone deaf to some of the cultural issues that were out there floating. And there were people who did see it and there were people who didn't.
Yes.
But there was not sensitivity to the deep felt among many people in America, everywhere, that their America somehow is being diluted and changed. And I think there were plenty of ways to address that, but it wasn't addressed. And so I think that's why the loss took place. Now the loss, if you look at it, folks, it's not a huge, I mean, yes, no battleground state was won by Kamala Harris, but on the other hand, everything was within a point and a half.
Yes.
Really close. So the things I just mentioned could have tipped it either way if it had been responded to.
Yes.
So I think every politician in America needs to take note of the dynamics of this last year. Now, coming back to your question about
the Middle East.
The Middle East. Yes, the Abraham Accords will be quickly resumed. And the corollary to the Abraham Accords was the notion that Saudi Arabia could make peace with Israel, and that would lay the groundwork for, sort of moving before it. I spent 4 years as Secretary of State trying to advance the process in Israel. And as I said, the two leaders didn't want to do it. Now I think things have changed a little bit in certain ways, and some for the good and some for the bad. The events of October 7th, honestly, were as egregious, as horrendous, as disgusting, as craven, as bestial, as anything I've seen in a big, broad way in a long, long time. And I fought in a war, I fought in Vietnam, I've been to war, I know what things are like. But this was uglier. There was a misogynistic, racist, deep-rooted rage that was expressed on that day, and it had a profound impact on the body politic of Israel. And Israelis, even those who were pushing for two-state solution and who believe in the fairness of that division, they're chastened today. They feel that there's going to have to be a new definition of security for them to really be able to buy into another state. And so that doesn't mean you can't do it. I think you can do it, but it's going to take longer. It's going to take building capacity among the Palestinians. It's going to take a process of building trust, of gaining confidence. And here's the danger, folks. The government of the right that is currently there, not one single member publicly supports, or even privately, a Palestinian state. And so when the Oslo Accords were signed, there were 110,000 settlers in the West Bank. Today, there are about 600,000. And even 2 weeks into the war, Israel announced 13,000 new units of building in the West Bank. Now, you know full well, diplomatically and so forth, the Oslo Accords promised transition to give land back starting in 1993 and moving forward. It's not happened. And you now openly, last week, saw one minister anyway, maybe a couple, talking about annexation of the West Bank.
That's right.
Now, if you had annexation of the West Bank, folks, everything that has preceded us is difficult to see how it works. I got a set of principles agreed to before I left as secretary, and among those principles, the Arab world, accepted the idea that Israel would be a Jewish state. But there are 1.6 million Arabs in Israel, Israeli Arabs. And what is the status of a Jewish state where, will they be allowed to vote? Will those other people, it won't in fact be if they could elect a prime minister who wasn't Jewish, and that's not going to happen, obviously. So then what kind of state do you have? So this is a monumental challenge still. And it's going to take a lot of work to try to pull people together. And frankly, it's going to take a while. Now, I think Trump, again, is the beneficiary of the agony of these last months, which people will want to get behind them somehow. And I think there will be some momentum to be able to find a way to give people more hope and to begin to build a future. But believe me, there's nothing much left of Gaza. And those people do not want to be driven out. And I think the advocates of a two-state solution are going to continue to press for them to be treated more fairly and effectively.
And thereby hangs the tale, because even the Saudi Arabian ruler, Prince MBS, has said just a couple of days ago that he can't really normalize unless there is movement towards a Palestinian state. So you're absolutely right to lay out that very, very complicated situation. Just moving a little bit away from the Middle East, but not fully away, you were one of the architects of the nuclear agreement with Iran, the JCPOA, and President Trump pulled out of that agreement, pulled the US out of that agreement. Is that a door which is completely shut now, or is that a door which is completely shut, or can we go back on that?
Well, I don't think the door is completely shut, but it depends on whether or not the Trump administration wants to find a way to walk through the door. And I am convinced that Iran sent some signals in the last weeks indicating they'd like to find a better path. The tragedy of what President Trump did in just pulling out of that agreement, folks, for which there was no rational reason to pull out. And I'm just being direct and honest about it. If you didn't like the agreement, you at least had 15 years before anything changed in it. And during those 15 years, you could have worked with Iran to establish greater trust in the Non-Proliferation Treaty Agreement and other things. But just pulling out did the very thing that Ayatollah Khamenei feared the most and said publicly to his negotiators, don't negotiate with the great Satan because they will not be trusted. And when Donald Trump pulled out, he fed that to them. And the result was that the IRGC, the Republican Guard, were elected. And the hardliners came in. Now there's a new group there after the president was killed in the helicopter crash. And it appears that maybe there's a little breath of capacity here to be able to work differently. But look, in that agreement that we came to on Iran, we took a nuclear weapon off the table. We put it away. We made it clear that you could not break out and create a weapon in Iran in the period of about a year and 2 to 3 months. That's how long breakout would take. Today, because of pulling out, breakout is about a week from now. A week from whenever it would occur. And in the agreement we did with Iran, Iran had to destroy 13,000 centrifuges which they used to create uranium enriched in order to have a bomb. You have to destroy them. They have to destroy their plutonium reactor with cement put into the core of the reactor, could never be used again. They had to open up television in all of their production facilities. We put 130 people on the ground in Tehran every day, checking everything. We had, we had limits on we had tracking on their mining of uranium, all the way from the mine through to the post-use of the centrifuges. So they were really in a box.
And Israel was still not happy with it.
No, but the security establishment of Israel all agreed this made Israel safer. And Israel is less safe today, the region is less safe today, because Iran could decide to break out. Now, I don't think they will break out. I think in the end they're going to decide that is not in their interest. And they'll use the bargaining, hopefully, to figure out how the pathway is going to be laid for having a more normal relationship with the world. But that's going to